We have major breaking news in the Bitcoin world. After years of relentless advocacy, Ross Ulbricht, the founder of Silk Road and a symbol of the fight for freedom, has been freed from prison as of yesterday. Joining us live to unpack this monumental moment is none other than American Hodl. Ross's release marks a seismic shift, not just for Bitcoin advocacy, but for how the world views decentralization, freedom, and justice. This is a story that impacts not just Ross, not just the Bitcoin community, but the entire movement for financial security. American Hodl, thank you for joining us. Let's jump right in. What does this moment mean to you?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things you could say. Like, it's been very emotional to see the pictures from the Ulbricht family, and Ross with his mother and his wife and his sister, etc. It's really cool to see because in 2021 they played an audio recording of Ross at the Bitcoin conference, and it just was so depressing, man. It's so hard to listen to. I mean, basically Ross was dead. I mean, he was dead. He was effectively dead to the world. Double life sentence plus 40 years is almost like condemning a man to death. It's basically the same thing. And so he's just like back from the dead. It's pretty crazy to watch. So yeah, I'm happy for him and the Ulbricht family.
Hodl, as a father yourself, I'm sure you've put yourself in Lynn Ulbricht's shoes, in the shoes of Ross's wife. How do you think that they're feeling right now?
I would, just an indescribable joy. I would imagine that Lynn she runs the Free Ross account, and she wrote on there that they're constantly pinching themselves, and it's a very surreal moment for them. So yeah, imagine you thought your son was dead and now he's back alive. Like, how crazy would that be? They must be overwhelmed with emotion.
No doubt.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. President Trump has officially honored his promise to free Ross Ulbricht now, a move that has sent shockwaves through the Bitcoin and freedom advocacy communities. Do you see this as a signal that his administration might seriously consider a strategic Bitcoin reserve? And does this decision reunite hope for a future where Bitcoin and individual freedoms play a central role in shaping the country's path forward?
Yeah, I think the strategic Bitcoin reserve has a high likelihood of happening. And I think freeing Ross, definitely was a campaign promise that Trump has made good on, which is very hopeful to see for our Bitcoin, Bitcoiners' relationship with the new administration, especially when the old administration was so outwardly hostile to us. I think there's a concern though that the shitcoiners like Brad Garlinghouse and the Ripple people are now circling around the strategic Bitcoin reserve and trying to turn it into a crypto strategic reserve, which is just absolute bullshit, crony capitalism, insider trading nonsense. And we have to put a stop to it. So over my dead body,
Wow, this is an incredible moment for Bitcoiners. Hodl, thank you for joining us live. Don't go anywhere. We've got exclusive insights, expert analysis, and a lot more coming your way. This is BitcoinCenter, and we'll be hashing out the news you need to know. See you after the break. Welcome to BitcoinCenter, where we tackle the Bitcoin headlines you can't afford to miss.
Wait a minute, Cedric. Is the Trump narrative shifting? Because I thought this was all about Bitcoin, not crypto. And Trump's adding fuel to this fire with the launch of his own token, a crypto czar, and the crypto ball. Bitcoin should be breaking out of this crypto stuff. Is this a twist in the plot or just another headline?
Also, could a strategic Bitcoin reserve become a reality? With geopolitical tensions high, Bitcoiners are pushing for a treasury backed by hard money. How close are we to making this a global trend?
While in the media, Gary Gensler sat down with a fiery exit interview with Joe Kern. And Joe, keep it up. We love what you're doing. Did Gensler reveal the truth about his controversial reign over crypto regulation? Does he own Bitcoin? We've got the highlights and we're going to break it down.
And the fight for freedom takes center stage. Free Ross Ulbricht. With President Trump now in office and fresh momentum behind the campaign, we'll unpack the latest efforts to secure Ross's release and what it could mean for Bitcoin advocacy under the new administration.
So buckle up for another BitcoinCenter, where we hash out the hottest Bitcoin topics and we bring it straight to your node. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button, and stay tuned because the future of Bitcoin is bright and we're going to deliver it unencrypted.
Jeff Walton, aka Punter Jeff, thanks for joining us on Quant Corner.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Jeff, I got the first question for you, man. Look at MicroStrategy's up 760% year to date. Do you see Saylor continuing this momentum and driving MicroStrategy to be the biggest company of all time?
Yeah, it's a very easy question for me to answer, and I think it's a very simple yes. I think the reason for that is because of the depth of the capital markets and the design and structure of the equity market, the debt market, and valuation of equities just in general. Really, if you look at MicroStrategy's balance sheet, they're incredibly strong, right? They've got 461,000 Bitcoin on balance sheet, which represents, as of today, about $49 billion of assets relative to $7.5 billion of debt. So their leverage ratio is about 15%. So very, very strong, very healthy, with the ability to leverage up the balance sheet and utilize the $21 billion of the $42 billion capital plan on convertible debt moving forward into 2025, 2026. So I'm incredibly bullish for the future and their ability to continue running this strategy and continuing to be the most profitable equity in the entire market for the foreseeable future, 25 and 26. There's significant headroom, and the balance sheet can support it.
Wow. I think some of us have been waiting for some of these upcoming FASB accounting changes to come into place for a long time. Maybe not a lot of people, though. Maybe a lot of people don't understand what's coming. How does the change in FASB fair value accounting rules help MicroStrategy, and how will it impact other companies that adopt a Bitcoin strategy?
FASB fair value accounting, I think this is a very important topic that a lot of the market doesn't quite understand. And many people, I think, are underplaying the potential impact this has for not only MicroStrategy, but the future adoption of Bitcoin on balance sheet for all future corporations that may look at adopting Bitcoin. And what's going on here is, historically, Bitcoin, the way it's accounted for on balance sheet is it's treated as an intangible, long-lived asset. So it's treated as the same type of asset as like a patent. And that rule, that dated ruling that's been in place, forever, that MicroStrategy has been utilizing for the last 4 years since they've adopted their Bitcoin treasury strategy, that requires all of the Bitcoin on balance sheet to be marked down to the lowest price during the quarter. So what that does and what that means is, historically, if you look back at MicroStrategy earnings, a lot of their earnings have been mostly negative. So anybody, when they first look at this stock, one of the first things they'll look at is, how profitable is this company? And you go look at their historical earnings over the last 5 years, and they're all negative. And that just instantly sounds the alarm bells for most traditional financial analysts, without digging another step further and asking, hey, why is this negative if the value of Bitcoin's been increasing? So here's why this is a big deal. So FASB fair value accounting, which will be adopted in Q1 2025, this is the last time in which MicroStrategy has to adopt FASB fair value accounting. So it'll be Q1 2025. So I think we'll see this adoption in May at the release of the Q1 earnings. What this does is it brings the value of Bitcoin marked to market. So any gain that is experienced, gain or loss that is experienced during the period, during the quarter, will be reflected in net income and earnings per share for the company at the end of the reporting period, as opposed to being marked at the lowest value during the reporting period. So I think MicroStrategy, as of right now, for Q1 2025, and we're sitting at January 21st, the estimated earnings per share based on this new FASB fair value adoption, the estimated earnings per share is $21.48. So the gain that MicroStrategy has accrued as of today for Q1 is roughly $6 billion. So it's a significant gain, right? If you compare this to any other equity in the market, this is a significant quarterly gain that many corporations are not going to be able to beat. And why I think this is important, there's a few reasons. One, because this will effectively, it won't erase all historical earnings. All historical gain of Bitcoin added to balance sheet will be added to retained earnings at the beginning of the period for 2025. And moving forward, any future quarter, any gain or loss on balance sheet will impact the earnings per share for that quarter. Why is this important? One of the largest reasons this is important is because the S&P 500, which represents three of the five largest index ETFs in the world, requires 4 quarters summed together of positive earnings in order to be able to be added to the index. So once there's positive earnings over the last 4 quarters, MicroStrategy will then be qualified to be added to the S&P 500. As of today, around $100 billion market cap, this would be the second largest equity to ever be added to the S&P 500, right behind Tesla. So that would result in a significant amount of dollar cash flows that are continuing to buy MicroStrategy moving forward into perpetuity. This is going to be a very contentious event. I think there will be a lot of eyes on it. It will be one of the biggest topics of 2025. Look forward to seeing how this kind of all plays out. Part 2, the other reason FASB fair value accounting is very important is because of earnings per share. 75% of the stock market is algorithmic trading, right? So this begs the question of, does the entirety of the algorithmic trading market have this calculation baked in already, or may this be a potential miss? So I think there are some questions on whether or not this complete reversal of earnings per share, going from incredibly negative to incredibly positive in a very short time horizon, that might cause a significant reevaluation from algorithms that are maybe pricing stocks based on earnings per share, et cetera, et cetera. The last reason, the last and most important topic of FASB fair value accounting is this really is the gun going off at the starting block for corporate adoption, right? This is showing that MicroStrategy is showing the market that the water's warm, everything's great. If you adopt this asset on your balance sheet, it can flow through positively to net income. Additionally, MicroStrategy is the only corporation in the QQQ, the NASDAQ 100, that has a Bitcoin treasury strategy. They're the only company where you're able to understand the change in net income and change in earnings 24/7, 365. So this should smooth earnings volatility in the rest of the market. If for companies that adopt a Bitcoin treasury strategy, there's a lot less uncertainty on, pop and changes in value of earnings based on, quarterly earnings releases.
I had tried so hard not to jump in and interrupt there. And Paul, I'll let you ask the question so someone else can get one in on Punter Jeff.
Jeff, I mean, I am just like, that makes so much sense to me from a guy who spent some time in TradFi. This is going to be a massive amount of passive flows that come into MicroStrategy. Are you bullish enough?
That's a great question. Yeah, yes, I'm bullish. I'm very, very bullish for the future here. I'm very, very, very bullish. I think the other thing that's most exciting for me is there are so many companies that have ignored MicroStrategy because of the negative earnings, right? So there's going to be downstream impacts here that are impossible to quantify. Just people, are now going to take them seriously. Right? People are now going to start to quantify, can any company potentially catch MicroStrategy's 461,000 Bitcoin? Yeah, I think there's only 5 or 6 companies that have the cash on hand to potentially do so, and they should have started yesterday. So it's I'm incredibly bullish for the future of programmable money. I think we're going to start to see this stuff be used as collateral. The economy for Bitcoin is going to continue to develop. People are going to be putting massive amount of time and energy into building that ecosystem and that sphere of influence. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see, Bitcoin go to 5 to 7 trillion in 2025, and MicroStrategy go to $1 trillion in 2025.
Awesome. Let me grab my phone. I need to smash buy some more MicroStrategy. I'll be right back.
ABB, always be buying.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jeff. This has been awesome. I guess FASB rolls out for MicroStrategy in May, and I think they have even a catch-up period there where they'll roll through all the earnings that they missed out on up to then. So, I just think that like the market's going to be like, pfft. I think you might think maybe it'll be a little bit, I don't know how it's going to go, but it's very exciting. Thank you so much for weighing in. Really appreciate it on Quant Corner.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Daniel Prince, aka Princey, host of the Once Bitten podcast and the author of Choose Life, the tools, tricks, and hacks of long-term family travelers, world schoolers, and digital nomads. My brother from another mother, thanks for joining us on Inside Bitcoin. Let's dive right in. Why did Trump choose to start a shitcoin, and why on Solana?
Oh, what a rabbit hole. And thank you for having me on, guys. And thank you for picking up on the thread, Cedric. I'm sure you had fun going through that one, as I did, because I know you come from a corporate background, as do I. And I got a phone call Friday night as I was driving to our local pub with my wife, just to have a quick drink before dinner. And he said, Dan, have you been down this rabbit hole of, David Sachs and the crypto czar thing? And I'm like, no, I'm not paying any attention to that at all. And then it all started dropping. And I'm like, my goodness, I've got to look into this now. And kudos to Parker for pushing me in there. And when I just, Cedric, you start looking up things, and right off the bat here, I want to say I'm not making any allegations. I just followed the freaking rabbit, and the dots just started connecting themselves. And yeah, all of a sudden I was seeing insider trading, alleged insider trading, nepotism and conflict of interest.
Absolutely. I mean, so with that in mind, then how does this end for Trump supporters that bought Trump's coin?
Didn't it already dump after they released Melania coin the next day? I mean, this is unbelievable. I can't believe, we're watching from across the pond here. And so we're getting a completely different view from what you guys are getting. And I got to say, guys, from this side, I know Twitter is a weird little bubble as itself, but it's like, what's going on? Please tell me what's going on over there right now, because the news that we're seeing dripped over here is okay, so we've got the 47th president is getting inaugurated on the back of shilling and pumping and dumping a meme coin overnight, then his wife coming in the next morning and picking up the baton. I can't believe it. And it's just, it's crazy what we're seeing going on.
Who is David Sachs, and why was he chosen to be the crypto czar for Trump's administration?
So I'd never heard of him. You guys might have already been up to speed on who he is, being American and him being a venture capitalist and probably well known. I hadn't heard of him. I don't partake in that podcast that he co-hosts with the other guys, the All In Pod. I stay as far away from that as possible. But again, Parker sent me a link to them boasting about their Solana bags in a clip back in 2021. I'm like, what? This can't be true. They can't be out there openly, basically dumping on retail on their own podcast with Solana. And right at the time that this Trump news was coming out. So yeah, sure enough, I just started digging into okay, so who is this guy then? And that's where it all started, Setters, because bam, he was COO of PayPal when Musk was CEO of PayPal. So if nobody's up to speed on that, how PayPal come to be, there was a company called Coinfinity and there was a company called X. Musk was part of X, right? This is why we now have Twitter as X.com, which was a company trying to, it was a fintech company back in the day, right? As was Coinfinity. And they came together, and that's where the PayPal mafia all really stemmed from. And those guys, they sat at the top of it back in the day. So you've got the crypto czar, Trump's pick, being he was the CFO or COO. You'll have to double check me on that, of PayPal, at the same time that CEO was Elon Musk, who's Trump's pick for the Doge, which is another freaking troll for the Department of Government Efficiency, being also Dogecoin, which, by the way, in the inauguration speech, Musk said, and we're going to send Doge to Mars. So there's shitcoins all over this thing. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Yeah, of course. Our final question is, how does this make you feel as a Bitcoiner? And what does this mean for Bitcoin?
I mean, Bitcoin's going to be fine. Like, you bring it, right? Bring the fight. We're ready for it. This is what people misunderstand. You're not going to be able to harm the Bitcoin network. But what you are going to do, and what is going to be a real shame, and as a Bitcoiner, this is what truly affects me and you guys as well, is we are going to see a lot of people shaken out of their Bitcoin. And we're going to see a lot of people turned away from even starting educating themselves about Bitcoin because of all of this nonsense, all of this noise. Now, a lot of people on the flip side of the coin, excuse the pun, are going to say, yeah, but Princey, like now everybody's talking about crypto and that's just it's the gateway drug to Bitcoin. I don't think so, guys. I think there's so much noise. Read Jeff Booth, separating the noise from the signal. And we've worked so hard. Everyone here on this call has worked so hard to get just signal out into the market and across the planet. And now we're just getting undermined by this complete nonsense. I mean, we've even got big names in the Bitcoin space tweeting about Saylor tweeting about the 47th president buying and his company buying X amount of Bitcoin. It wasn't Bitcoin. It was wrapped Bitcoin that runs on the Ethereum network. Like, this is not Bitcoin, and this is not the message we need to be sending to people.
Well said, Daniel. Thank you so much for your comments. We agree wholeheartedly, and Inside Bitcoin just went up a level with you on board. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, brother.
You're watching BitcoinCenter, brought to you by Byte Federal and the Bitcoin Matrix podcast. If you're as passionate about Bitcoin as we are, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's the easiest way to stay in the loop and support the show that keeps you ahead in the Bitcoin revolution. All right, I'm so excited to introduce our next guest, our Pleb of the Week, Dom Bei, founder of Proof of Workforce. Dom, what the heck is Proof of Workforce?
Paul, Cedric, thanks for having me on, and it's an honor to be Pleb of the Week. Proof of Workforce is a nonprofit that is built to help workers and wage earners, unions, pension funds, municipalities find Bitcoin and win with Bitcoin. And we do that through education-based initiatives all through the country and then further abroad throughout the world.
Speaking of abroad, you went to Africa and orange-pilled the Kenyan Firefighter Union. What was that experience like?
Yeah, so I was at the Africa Bitcoin Conference, incredible panel. And like I do anytime we go to a conference abroad, I try to go find a local workforce organization or union or firehouse. And so I was able to get to the headquarters, firefighter headquarters, their main station in Nairobi. And it just so happened when I was there talking to the firefighters about what it's like being a firefighter in Nairobi. And of course, I found a way to slip in a little Bitcoin in there right at the right time. They said, hey, if you do Bitcoin stuff with unions, the president of the union for the whole country is here. You should talk to him. And so I ended up talking to him about what we do and figuring out what kind of challenges they had. And we were able to get them to become the first union in the country of Kenya to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet in self-custody.
Wow. That's amazing. And good for you for Bitcoin. But I also understand because of the fires, you had a last minute trip. You went to the crypto ball, not a Bitcoin ball, a crypto ball. What was that like? What did you learn? Any insights from that event?
Yeah. So as you all know, lots of fires here in the LA area. Sadly, I missed my flight to Medellin Bitcoin conference where I was slated to speak. Got off a few days late, ended up making it to DC
and was found my way to the Bitcoin crypto ball. What was that like? Entertaining. There was a ton of people there that I didn't know. A mix of people across the Bitcoin industry, crypto industry, because the co-host was Stand with Crypto. As you guys know, that's the movement from Coinbase that really played a role in the election and trying to mobilize crypto voters. Of course, Bitcoin Magazine played a big role in that too, trying to mobilize Bitcoin voters. And so they teamed up. And then you had senators, different government officials. The Winklevi were there. Snoop randomly was the DJ, Rick Ross and Soulja Boy. So, I think kind of a toast of sorts for a really hard fought effort by them to get more Bitcoin and crypto friendly elected officials in place. And but I stay with the Bitcoiners. That's how I roll. So I connected with a few very cool Bitcoiners there. It was a good time.
That's awesome. Sure, seeing Snoop DJ was fire. But speaking of fires, maybe a little bit more seriously, the LA fires, what's it like over there? How can people help if they're interested?
Yeah, so things now are starting to calm down a bit, as you all saw. Terrible fires throughout the LA area in multiple spots. And, the media was definitely putting a lot of that out there, and there's a lot of fear going on in the area and a lot of real tragedy there. Folks can help. There's tons of charitable organizations that are doing great work. So really, if you go seek out charitable organizations, you'll find some great ones. I know the Red Cross is doing relief work. The LA Fire Foundation is doing, they're raising funds for firefighters and people involved. Actually, the Santa Monica Firefighters Relief Fund, we've been doing some cool stuff. We're helping people kind of repopulate their homes and build them little like kits and things like that so they can navigate going through their house, things like that. So between those, you can always support and always just look for funds where your donations will go straight to the recipients of those needing help, right? So one of the things about the Santa Monica firefighters is there's no overhead. So any donation goes directly to, firefighters impacted, their families, victims of emergencies, things like that.
So Dom, you're on this segment, you're Pleb of the Week, but you're really doing God's work for Bitcoin and humanity. Thank you for all you're doing, and we appreciate you being a part of the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Love being Pleb of the Week. And, all the other plebs out there, keep grinding, keep introducing people to Bitcoin. They're depending on us to find the true ethos of Bitcoin and why it was created and why it matters. So thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for what you do. And now, this week's rundown. Let's get into it, Paul. Free Ross is up first. What do you think?
What Elon's promising it. Trump's team has confirmed they're going to do it. We're just waiting. I have nothing else to say. Major disappointment that it's not done already.
Huge. He's been in jail for 4,032 days. He's been waiting. His mom's been waiting. I mean, what are they going to like? We're going to hear Ross didn't kill himself before he gets out. I mean, they're dragging this out. I'm getting worried. It should have happened already. It's just a pen stroke. I'm
not worried. I just think it's a delay.
Why? Why is there a delay? It's like his life is like waiting. I mean, this has been a perpetual wait. This is horrible.
Well, it was supposed to be day one. It's not day one.
Day one's long gone. You could say this is the middle of day two.
Right. I don't think we're going to be disappointed, but it's just taken way too long.
And how do we express our feelings? Should we be on Twitter screaming and yelling, or should we be patiently waiting? You seem kind of calm about it.
Just forward every tweet that you find, repost it, reply.
Are they seeing it? Are they hearing this?
Everybody needs to see this. And I think that's why Elon responded, like, it's coming, it's coming.
This is what the whole administration is going to be like for 4 years, waiting around for things to get done? I thought the man was known for working 24/7. They knew this was coming for months. This is something they promised him.
It's all about priorities.
He could be in solitary for all we know.
Priorities. I don't think Ross is their priority.
How are they going to send him home if they called the plane?
That's it, buddy. You're done. SBR, man. What's happening with the SBR? That was supposed to be day one.
I don't think a lot's going to happen. I think we should lower expectations. I think we'll be lucky if they come out with an announcement that they're going to hold the DOJ coins.
That was the only thing I really had hopes for. We should have at least heard about that. We haven't heard anything yet about holding on to those DOJ coins. And at this point, Trump Jr. is out there buying wrap Bitcoin. I don't even. It's just such a show, you know. I really frustrated.
Are we going to get a crypto Bitcoin reserve? Is that where we're headed? Where like there's wrapped Bitcoin in our reserve?
That's what's on. That's
Solana.
what's on our president's balance sheet. Hopefully that doesn't make it to the.
Who's in his ear? Who's advising this administration?
The cryptos are, buddy. It's a crypto country now.
Who's that, David? He's a Bitcoiner. He gets it.
Yeah, apparently, supposedly. I don't know. I'm losing faith.
Do you want them to announce that they're going to buy 1 million coins? Would we want everyone to front run us?
No, I'm not. Look I was only anticipating that we were going to have holding on to what we have already. That would have been enough to kick things off. And we haven't heard a tweet.
Do we want the treasury to buy Bitcoin? I mean, we sit and rail about government inefficiency, ineptitude. Why would we even want them to hold Bitcoin?
If you want to live in a free country that remains the America that or returns back to the America we hope for, we better fix the balance sheet. And I don't see any other way to do
it. All right.
Inauguration.
Did you watch any of this?
I did. I saw a bunch of tech billionaires sitting in a line waiting to offer their first bid on TikTok. That's what I saw.
Where were they watching this? Indoors? Why were they indoors?
I don't know. Yeah, supposedly it was cold. So, yeah, I guess. I mean, if I'm from Florida, so yeah, I would have wanted to be indoors.
What'd you get from watching this? Did you see anything weird? Anything weird or funny happen?
I mean, I thought Melania's outfit was the best thing of the entire inauguration. That was like full on V for Vendetta. You tried to kill my husband. You've tried to destroy my family. I'm coming after you. That's all I needed to see. When she walked out, I was done.
And you think this was blatant symbolism at the inauguration?
If it wasn't, it was like the happiest accident of the entire inauguration.
What else did you see? I mean, they're making a lot of what Elon Musk did with the touching the heart.
Like a really, really bad dab or a Hitler. Like, I don't know what the hell. I mean, Elon's just as goofy as it gets anyways. I mean, he's not like, I don't know if his body's connected to his brain all the time. But, I mean, obviously the dude is smart. I'm never going to question him about that. But some of the crap he does just blows my mind.
What was your favorite part? Were you better off for watching this? Could you get those 5 hours of your life back?
I could get those 5 hours back.
Was it worth it? Do you like watching these shows?
No. That's the last thing I want to do is see a bunch of politicians getting up in front of a mic and talking to me. Oh, wait a minute. Trump coin. I mean, what the hell is this all about? This is like the epitome of shitcoinery day one in the White House. Said like.
But I mean, how's it any different from raising money by selling hats or T-shirts? I mean, did you really think you were going to not monetize his presidency?
At least you get a hat. You're going to get rugged on this thing. You're already down 50% from the peak. How many Trump followers bought the top and lost 40% of their money?
Look, I'm not for shitcoining, but I don't know if I see this as something like Solana. I think it's a lot more straightforward. And I think there's some things that we haven't even thought about. Like, what if he does airdrops to everyone who voted for him? What if he does an airdrop for email addresses and this sort of maybe revolutionize?
I'm sorry. I'm going to interrupt you just like you interrupted your guest. Look at this is a shit coin. It has no purpose. It's like a GoFundMe for the Trump family. That's it. And
I agree, but how is that?
And you get rugged.
Common in politics, and at least this is above board. I'm not for any of this, but let's be real. This does, and doesn't this bolster everything?
I can't believe you're pro crypto, Cedric. I can't believe it.
If the president is buying Bitcoin, how could anyone in Congress or people say that like the American people can't buy Bitcoin?
This
And-
is not Bitcoin. What are you talking
No,
about?
I understand, but this is sort of the entree into crypto, and I think this is crazy. But I do think we have to look at this from a lot of different angles.
Oh, Cedric.
Well, the crypto ball.
The crypto ball.
I think the funniest thing about that, though, was all the insiders kind of got rugged by Trump, and he kind of showed them who's the boss in the room, not letting them any of them know ahead of time that he was going to do this. I mean, I think the whole thing is terrible for Bitcoin, but I do think there's other ways of looking at this. I'm glad I wasn't at the crypto ball, but they got rugged. They kind of got shoved aside and kind of got mocked a little bit. What do you think?
I'm thinking best case scenario. This was a big FU to Gensler on his way out. Like we're gonna do this, and But worst case scenario, we're going to be promoting this garbage for the next 4 years, and it's going to burn a lot of people that are chasing. Look, most people think I missed Bitcoin. This is how I'm going to catch up, and they don't understand that everything goes to zero against Bitcoin. Right. So it's crypto garbage in, crypto garbage out. Hopefully they learn their lesson and they buy something that's going to be here for the next 10,000 years and not some freaking meme coin.
Yeah, well, hopefully they learn the lesson. Everyone gets Bitcoin at the price they deserve. I think this is sort of par for the course. There can be some bumps in the road.
So look at, on a positive note, Bitcoin all-time high.
So it flashed a little over 109 the other evening.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, I'm a little bit concerned about this all-time high. I don't feel like it's under a lot of momentum. It doesn't feel strong to me. I feel like we need a little bit more consolidation, maybe a sharp pullback. We need to shake out some weak hands before we can really rally. But we're never going to complain about an all-time high. But it just doesn't feel like a real strong one here.
Yeah, it was a little anticlimactic. Mm-hmm. I think, though, when we break 110, maybe retail will kind of notice a little bit. Maybe it'll be a little more euphoria. I'm not sure how this goes. I think I'm excited for higher lows.
How many, when we hit the all-time high, how many people at the crypto ball sold their Bitcoin to buy a shitcoin? That's
right.
What I'm wondering.
Well, there you go. The trading out and reallocating to, watering their weeds and cutting their flowers.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll see where this goes. It is exciting. I want to thank you all for tuning in to the latest BitcoinCenter. Make sure to like and subscribe. Paul?
Come back next week. We'll be here again. We're going to be hashing more content, showing you proof of work, and delivering you what you need to really understand Bitcoin. Thank you.
And I'll make sure to interrupt him.
So you've heard Bitcoin is the new gold rush by now. As world leaders on all sides have endorsed it as the future of money, and now you're looking to get started, we'll show you how. It's actually easier than you think. First, go to your nearest Byte Federal ATM and turn your cash to coin. Byte Federal has over 1,200 locations around the country with the highest daily limits. Go to our website, bytefederal.com, to find the nearest ATM to you. Log in to any wallet, then create an account, deposit your US cash, and instantly convert it to Bitcoin. That's it. We are the only US manufacturer and operator in the Bitcoin ATM industry, and our US-based live customer service is second to none. Go on, give it a whirl, and don't get left behind. Click the link below.